want to talk about next is, why is this demand curve shaped the way it is? Why, when the price goes up, do we demand less? I know we say that's common sense, but we want to get at sort of the mechanics of being a consumer and why that exists, why the law of demand is the way it is. So what we're going to look at are two reasons for a change in the quantity demanded. Why does quantity demanded change when the price changes? Delta is just change, because I'm going to write the word change 50 times on the board tonight. So when you see delta, it's change. Okay, and this is always associated with a change in a product's own price. So if quantity demanded is changing, that means the price is changing. We're talking about things that are caused by a change in the product's own price. So think of quantity demanded, if it helps. Think of quantity demanded as one little dot on the curve. One little point is the quantity demanded. Think of demand as the whole curve. Okay? Quantity demanded, how much we're going to buy at any one price. Demand, how much we're going to buy at every price, if that makes sense. So we're looking at why you move from one point to another. Why you slide along one demand curve. And by the way, it's these reasons why this curve has this negative slope. Because of the law of demand, we know that as the price falls, quantity is always going to increase. You're always going to get a curve that slopes downward. Demand curves will always be downward sloping. Now they can look kind of funny sometimes. It doesn't have to be concave like that. Sometimes they're convex like that. Sometimes they're nearly horizontal. Sometimes they're almost vertical. But they all go down and to the right. They're all negatively sloping. Let's talk about why, when the price goes down, the quantity demand goes up. Anybody buy more when it went from 100 to 75? A bunch of you probably did, right? Okay, who bought one at 100? At least one at 100, and then bought more when it went to 75? Okay. Why? Why'd you guys buy more when it dropped from 100 to 75?
It was a better deal.
It was a better deal. Okay. Anybody buy some at 75 and then buy more at 50?
Yeah.
Almost all of you. Okay. Colin, how many were going to buy at 75? You remember?
Oh, there was two.
Okay. Then when it went to 50, how many were you going to buy?
4.
Okay. So why'd you go from 2 to 4 when it went from 75 to 50?
Because the price is dropping, so it's attracting me to buy more.
Okay. If you were going to buy 2 anyway at 75, you were willing to spend how much?
2.
Yeah, 2 at 75?
No, 40.
150. You were willing to spend 150 bucks. Neither am I. Okay, you're willing to spend 150 bucks. So, when I dropped the price to 50, those 2 that you were willing to spend 150 bucks on a minute ago, how much do you pay now when they're 50 bucks a piece? Well, no, they dropped to 50. The same 2 he was going to buy. He was going to buy 2 for 150. When they dropped from 75 to 50, those 2 cost him how much?
100.
Now they cost him 100. So what just happened to him? What did I just do for him? Okay, he just saved 50 bucks. In essence, we think of it this way, that just created 50 bucks in Colin's pocket. Okay? What are some people going to do with at least some of that 50 bucks? Going to buy more product. Will everybody buy more? But will some people buy more?
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a concept called the income effect. And the income effect has kind of a long explanation. Okay? But here's what it says. The income effect says this. As a product's price falls, bless you, you can now purchase the same amount for less. As a product's price falls, you can now purchase the same amount for less, which in essence creates income. It's actually creating 50 bucks in Colin's pocket. As the price of a product falls, you can now purchase the same amount for less, which in essence creates income, comma, some of which will be spent on additional units of the product. As the product's price falls, you can now purchase the same amount for less, which in essence creates income, some of which will be spent on additional units of the product. Okay. So I get a deal on something, I was expecting to pay more. Now I got more money in my pocket, I buy more of it. A lot of you guys are sort of college age or young adult age in here. Imagine you're going to a party on a Friday night. You stop off to buy your favorite brand of Frosty party beverage, whatever it happens to be. You get to the beverage store and your favorite brand is half price. What do? Does everybody buy two? No, but will some people buy two? Absolutely. Why? Because when they found out it was on sale, it put more money in their pocket, they spent the rest on another unit. That's the income effect. Okay. That's why we buy more. One reason we buy more when the price falls. Make sense? Okay. Now, second reason. Second reason's a little different. Think of this. Put yourself in the Friday night scenario again. You stop at the beverage store to buy your favorite brand of Frosty Party beverage, and when you get there, instead of being cut in half, your favorite brand of beverage is doubled in price. What do you do now? Some people are brand loyal. Will some people stay with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What will some people do? Or will buy something else. That's what's called the substitution effect. The substitution effect says this: as a product's price rises, it becomes a less attractive substitute for other products. As a product's price rises, it becomes a less attractive substitute for other products. As a product's price rises, it becomes a less attractive substitute for other products. And as its price falls, it becomes a more attractive substitute for other products. I'm going to get really high tech here and take a good picture of this graph up close so I can put it into the video. Think of it this way. How many people here prefer Coke to Pepsi? Show of hands. How many prefer Pepsi to Coke? Only one Pepsi drinker? Let's say that's just a graph for Coca-Cola, okay? Coca-Cola drinkers. Let's say 2 liters are $1.50 of both Coke and Pepsi. They're both $1.50. Coke drinkers, which is most of you, I guess. You go to the grocery store to get a 2 liter of Coke, and when you get there, Coke has doubled in price. It's $3. Do any of you buy Pepsi now? Okay, I get a no here, but some people are really brand loyal, right? They can't stand Pepsi, they love Coke, that's what they're getting. But will some Coke drinkers buy Pepsi now? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So when Coke's price went up, it became a less attractive substitute for Pepsi. So some Coke buyers jumped off the bandwagon and started drinking Pepsi. Now, Pepsi drinker or drinkers, you go to the store to buy your Pepsi, and when you get there, you find that Coke has dropped in price. Coke is 75 cents a 2 liter. Will some Pepsi drinkers now buy Coke? Maybe not you. Would you anyway?
No.
No, but would some?
Yeah.
So you're the brand loyal person in that case. I don't care if I'm saving 75 cents, I'm sticking with my Pepsi. But some Pepsi drinkers will now buy Coke. So what we saw was when Coke's price went up, some Coke buyers said, oh, too high for me, I'm going to drink Pepsi. When Coke's price fell, some Pepsi drinkers said, oh, that's pretty cheap for Coke, and started buying Coca-Cola. So price goes up, you become a less attractive substitute. Price goes down, product becomes a more attractive substitute. Make sense? Okay, so those are reasons for a change in the quantity demanded. Why we move from one point to another on one graph. Now here's where we get into one of the most difficult concepts in the class. What we're going to look at next are reasons for a change in demand, meaning the whole curve is going to move. The quantity demanded at every single price is going to change.